Hello, in this session I wanted to go over Sas Visual Analytics. The Sas Visual Analytics software is a completely browser-based solution, and you can access it by going to cloud.sas.com. Earlier I sent you invitation to your Murray State email asking you to get yourself an account set up on cloud.sas.com, and if you already have your SAS profile using your Murray State, that would work. And once you logged in, you would see your applications here, and the application we will use is Sas Visual Analytics Hub. Alright, so we're going to use Sas Visual Analytics Hub. So go ahead and click on that. It'll take a few seconds loading up. Okay, once it's loaded up, you can there are three different tools: Data Explorer, Report Designer, and Data Preparation. And the documentation on how this works and so on, and kind of a user manual, is available if you go to any one of them. And under Help, User Guides, Sas Visual Analytics User Guide is available. I downloaded this PDF file and made it available to you on Canvas. It's right there, Sas Visual Analytics. Alright. Okay. Alright. Now we'll start with the Visual Analytics Data Explorer. We'll start a new, select a data source. I'm going to use this bank direct marketing data set. This was something that was used in the data miner book, and I went ahead and uploaded it on using the link here, so it's right there. And let me go ahead and open this data set. And when you open the data set, the Sas Visual Analytics will automatically separate out the variables either as a category variable or a measure variable. Okay. Alright. Alright. And measure variables are numeric type data, and category variables are categorical type data. For the categorical type data, it also shows you how many unique values are there. For contact, there are 3 different values. Education, there are 4 values. Housing, there are 2. Job, 12 different jobs are being used, and so on. Alright. Now once you have a data source, we can actually set up visualizations on this data source. And so what is a visualization? It's something that you set up in using Data Explorer, and this gives you, there are a whole bunch of visual aids that you can use, and they're accessible from the Visual Analytics data dashboard. So Data Explorer is what I'm using. I already came to Data Explorer. If I go back to click on this home button, you see this Data Explorer, you click on that. That's how you go to the home page and then switch back to the Data Analytics page, Data Explorer. Alright. Now this is fairly with this Data Explorer, you can quickly create charts, diagrams, and so on. And let me show you how it's done. And depending on what variable you are dealing with, whether it's numeric or categorical, you can do different kinds of visual representations. Now all the visualization that you do can later be incorporated into reports, and reports are it's another part of visual analytics system of SAS, where you can simply pull up all your visualization objects and create a new report. Okay, we'll see how this works after we create some visualizations. So we can go back to our data explorer, and if you have category type data, you can do frequency diagrams very quickly. So how do you do that? So this is your canvas where you drop your variable. Let's say I want to do a visualization of jobs. Job is categorical, so drag and drop this here, and it automatically creates a frequency diagram for us. And this frequency diagram right now is simply a count of number of observations, and I can add another category type data to it. If it's right now frequencies, I can change this to percent. Okay, so overall nearly 22% of the observations have management as the job, and about 8% has services, and so on. So it does the quick chart for us, and it's very convenient. You can create one more visualization. Just click on this new visualization, and here you can wrap, let's say, another variable called month, and it shows you the frequency chart for month column. So May is the time when most campaigns were done, so it's got it's got highest frequency for that. So you can individually do frequency diagrams like that. Okay, it automatically fills the screen and makes it really easy to build frequency diagrams. You can also create multi-dimensional frequency diagrams. So we have frequency of job, and also let's say I want to include the marital status, so you simply drag and drop marital status here. So for 3 different marital statuses, divorced, married, and single, it shows the your frequency charts. Okay, of course divorced number of observations is small, so it's smaller, and so on. Okay, so it's kind of gives you a quick comparison between using two variables. All right, you can also pull in a third variable, but then it becomes a little bit more difficult to interpret it, and human brain is sort of not capable of handling lots of visual data at once. So you can remove any of these simply by clicking on it and press the delete button. It goes away. Okay, and also delete that. All right, so that is about frequency diagram. And with measure data, you can do more things. So let's go ahead and do another visualization, and this one I want to measure age is a measure, so I can drag age and drop it here, and it will automatically do a distribution for me like a histogram, and it's convenient. You can quickly review your distribution by using the histogram representation. And here too, if you want, you can, instead of showing the frequencies, you can change this to percent, so the same data shows in percent. All right, you can also do quick scatter plots. So let me do a new visualization, and if I bring in, let's say, age and balance, just highlight 2 measure data, drop it here, and it will automatically do a scatter plot for me. Okay, and the scatter plot right now doesn't look like much shape to it, and but it's doing a scatter plot is fairly easy. Notice there's one observation that's really way out there. Now later we can set up a filter to exclude these sort of extreme values. in the report. We'll see how that's done. So you can do quick scatter plots. You can also do multiple scatter plots. Okay, so right now we have just two variables, and if I just bring in 2, 3, 4 customer ID, I don't know customer ID. Okay, and I'm having the control button pressed, control and click. So I selected 7 different measure type data and drop it here, and it does create scatter plot for each pair of those 7 variables. Okay, and as you can tell, the column on the y-axis you have previous, on the x-axis for this one we have duration. Okay, and so on. So we can quickly create multiple scatter plots. Alright, you can also create something called heat maps that are a little bit easier to read. Okay, so let's go ahead and stop. I'm going to create a new visualization, and let me minimize this. Okay, a heat map has you can have either category or measure. So what I'll do is let me bring age to my x-axis and balance to my y-axis, and this is basically a scatter plot, but then it shows you there are some areas where the number of observations is way too many, okay, than compared to the other ones. So so the darker blue represents more observations, whereas lighter blue has very few observations. Okay, so again this kind of gives you a visual clue as to where the distribution is mostly concentrated at. Okay, so heat map can be done that way, and you can also create correlation matrices, correlation matrix, and let's see how that's done with alright, now correlation matrix, you click on that. So you basically bring in 2 measures, so let's say age on the x-axis and balance on the y-axis. Okay, you can also bring in a 3rd and 4th and 5th, 6th. You can do multiple correlations quickly, and what it does is for each variable it creates a correlation and shows you in a different shade. So the darker color has higher correlation, 0.4078. The lighter ones have very weak correlation. It's a relationship. The darker one is about moderate, least strong relationship. The others are all weak relationships. So you can use a correlation matrix to quickly understand if there are any moderate or strong relationships among the numeric type data. Alright, now so far we've seen how to do charts using categorical type data or measure type data. Now what if you have one categorical and one measure type? How do you do that? So that's next. We can do a bar chart by category. Okay, so let's say I bring in job for my x-axis, and for my y-axis let me bring balance. So what it does is it comes up with the balance sum of all balances grouped by the job category. Now right now by default it does sum. We want to change this. You can go to aggregation here and change this to average. So the average balance by job category can be seen. Okay, and so on one axis we have the categorical type data, on the other axis we have numeric type data. So that becomes useful to see if there is any interesting differences among the categorical type values with regards to numeric type data. Another useful type of analysis that we'd like to be able to do is crosstabs. So let's see how that works. And crosstab is right there. The crosstab allows you to summarize 3 variables in one shot. You got to have a column, a row, and measures. So measures are what goes inside the crosstab. Let's say I want to show the average of balances by job and marital status. So how do I do that? So I drag a balance, drop it onto measures, and I'll change this to change this aggregation to average. I guess I can right click here. Well, I think before I do that, okay, here it is. So before I drop it, I have highlighted balance, then change aggregation to average, and I want to group it by 2 categorical type data. One of them is job, and that's going to go in the rows, and other one is education, for example. So this one shows me average of balances grouped by job and education category. Okay, and if I want certain type of format, I can do that. Let's say I want no decimals. Okay, so let's see, measure would be measure name balance average. Okay, I guess let me see if I can right click here. It doesn't let me do that. Model type continuous, format doesn't let me choose a number of decimals. Euro, float, let's choose currency. Okay, and I click OK. That's better. Alright, so you can tell from this the highest average balance is for somebody who has education unknown and is a technician by job. That is 3,296. That's average. Okay, so this allows you to quickly see a summary of your data distribution by 2 different categorical type columns. Okay, alright, now that's good. Now one other thing that's useful to know is what's called a geographic type data. Now visualization allows you to mix numeric data or frequency counts and also plot it on a map. So some data can be classified as, or some variables can be considered geographic type variables, and they can be used in creating maps with drag with values on it. Okay, alright, before we do that, I need to go ahead and save these. So all the explorations I done, all the visualizations, I believe they got saved there. So now this data set does not have any geographic information, so let me go ahead and close this and pick new exploration, and the variable of the data set I want to use is sample Acme Bank, and this should be available to you also. Alright, Now this one's got data, state names, okay, or state geo 47 different values. So we can use that to figure out the state names in the US, and then we can look at the number of observations and plot it. So to make something, to make it available to geographic type mapping system, I just click on the map here and it comes up. Right now of course nothing on it, and we need to then one of the variables must be a geographic type variable. So you right click on this at state geo and change this. Right now it's category, but change it to geography, and the geography I want to choose subdivision state province names. Okay, and it's in the US. Alright, it's done. Next what I do is I simply drag this and drop it over here, and it comes up with frequency counts of observations from each state. So if I go to California, there are 51,420 observations in this data set. Nebraska 16,000, Kentucky is 2,160, and so on. So now if you don't want to have this frequency, you want something else in its place. Let's say I want to show the average adverse capital ratio. So what I do is click on that, change this to aggregation to average, and then simply drag and drop it over here. So what it does is it calculates the average of adverse capital ratio by each state and shows us the value. Okay, so I have no idea what adverse capital ratio is, but it's cool. I mean, let's see mix geographic data with numeric data displayed nicely. Alright, and let's go ahead and save this. So this is let me save it as exploration 2. Okay, once we got all these explorations done, and later let's close this, don't delete. We can go ahead and create a report or reports. Okay, that's the next step, report designer. So with report designer, there are some sample reports that you can view. They're really pretty looking, and what I'm going to show you won't be as good looking, but those sample reports will be really, will hopefully give you some inspiration as to do nice reports. So if you go to click on the home button, and on the home page, home dashboard, you would see Visual Analytics samples. Let's go ahead and click on Sas Visual Analytics Sample Inc. And it opens up interactive web page, and that is made up of the visualization components, but also it's interactive. It's pretty cool. Just wait. Okay. Okay. So you got some pie chart on sales by country and order total by percentages. So these are the countries: DE, ES, GB, IT, NO, SE, and so on. So each one, if you click on it, for that particular region, let's say DE, I believe, is Denmark. So for Denmark, it shows that's the highlighted slice. For that highlighted slice, it updates the monthly order totals. Okay, so there is another chart here, it shows the monthly order totals, and so each time you pick a different country, the graph updates. And you can also update by year. So there is another filter here that you can drop and pick. Okay, so 2005, So notice all the months changed to 2005, and I can change it to a different region, Asia. So for Asia, China is the only country, and then you have these sales figures. So this kind of interactive graphing is really cool. This is an example here. Okay, let's go back. It's another it's the same thing. Okay, now we can do something not as fancy, but we can have some interaction provided in our report. And how do we do that? Let's go back to home, and let's go to report designer. Okay, all right, so the visualization that we did so far, like the histogram and crosstabs and so on, we can simply bring them down to a report, and then we can make these reports interactive. All right, so here we have this report designer. So report designer has looks like a blank canvas, but it's got an area where you can drop a report object here. Then you can attach multiple sections or tabs, and for each visualization that goes in the main area, we can set up filters. Okay, all right, so what I'll do is I'll go back to my I guess I got to do this over. Okay. Okay, let me do this. Let's do age. Drop a report object here. Object. Let's do a pie chart. Okay, and for data, I'll do age. Oh no, it should be educate. Let's do job. Okay, so we got job distribution by pie chart, and I can make this pie chart. This is for the entire data set. All right, so I can add an extra dimension in terms of a filter. So we can create so that's a report object. That's what I have. Then in the section is this is the section 1, that's what it's called. Now then we also have section prompts. We can use that for filtering. So let's say I want to show the frequency distribution of observations by job, but I also want to let the user pick a month. So I just drag month from here, and I need to create an object. So month is going to show up in a drop down list. So let me go ahead and add a drop down list, and then change this drop down list property so that it shows month. So drag month, drop it onto that. Alright, so it's for all the month. So if I pick April, it updates my chart. If I pick August, it's got more green. If it's December, blue is larger, and so on. So I can add the interaction like this. Once I've done this, I can save this report, and this report can then be shared with others. Alright, save. Let me save it to report 2. Alright, so this short demonstration hopefully gave you some exciting insights into what you can do with Sas Visual Analytics. And again, it's all drag and drop click interface, and if you know your data well, then you can come up with some really interesting findings and visual analytics sort of reports and so on. All right, thanks.